I'm C. Akshatha Udupa. Welcome you all to my session on risk management. Risk management is one of the important topics which most of them ignore while trading. How much ever good is your strategy, how much ever knowledgeable you are in trading, if your risk management is not proper, then no strategy or no other knowledge in stock market will work for you. So before actually trading, it's always important to plan your risk. That is, you have to know what is your risk taking capability, what is the capital that is available with you, and you have to plan accordingly. Now trust me, anyone who is getting into the stock market cannot make profits for the first 1 year. The only focus which is required initially when you get into stock market or at the beginning stage is just to make sure that your capital is not wiped off. Make sure that you retain your capital and you trade so that you will get enough confidence to remain in the market and to carry out trade for the long time. So if you want to become an active trader or if you want to make a career in trading, then it is always important to make sure that you sustain in the market for the first 1 year, that too without losing your capital. So how do you do this? This is by proper risk management or proper money management. So the first thing which you have to take control of is your emotions. You should be able to trade with zero emotions. You should not be happy when you make profits, or you should not be sad when you make loss. And you have to always work like a system. That is, whatever happens, you're not going to deviate from the system or whatever one process you have set. To make it simple, we all like pizza, right? Now, we all like, say, pizza from a Domino's or from a Pizza Hut. But will you like a pizza if the taste of this is slightly changed, telling that we provide different varieties of pizzas? That is, if they say we just tried for some change, then will we accept it? Definitely not. We all love pizza the way it is, right? And the taste of the pizza which comes from Domino's or a Pizza Hut is not same as a pizza which we buy from some other local markets. So similarly, apply the same concept to your trading. You will have to trade like a robot. If your system is set, then your system is set. You leave the system to do the trade. You just enter and let the system take care of all other activities. You just do the entry, keep the stop loss according to your strategy. Just leave the system to work on its own. Then only it will work. Actually, initially when we start to trade, we will think that we will go as per the system. But the moment we start the trade, that is the moment we take a position, our emotions will start playing with us and we will end up in doing something else. And the most important point is always accept failures. That is, don't wait for the recovery of losses. If you have loss, if your strategy says it is time to exit, you have to exit without thinking anything else. If you wait saying that no, the market might come up, if you keep on waiting, you will end up making more and more of losses. So exact system you have to follow, and when loss happens and your system says this is a time to exit with loss. Market will give you lots of other opportunities to make the profits. Just because you want to save one loss, don't lose on the different other opportunities which will give you good profits. Now, the brokers will give you margins, right? We all know, we are very happy. We just go on searching for the brokers who will give us more margin, right? But if you ask me, my suggestion is that always trade with your capital. Don't go for using the margin which is given by the brokers. Yes, it is an advantage. You can take that advantage once you become the pro. Initially, if you start using that margin, this itself motivates you to do more and more trades, buy more and more quantities, and yeah, if you make profits, you will get a good amount. But if you make loss, it will wipe out the major portion of your capital. Initially, don't use that overexposure. Just trade with whatever capital is available with you. You set the loss taking limit, you set how much stop loss you have to place, and based on that you have to trade, and you have to trade like a robot or like a system, as I told, so that whatever happens, you will not end up losing your capital. Once you start developing this attitude in you, I can assure you that you will sustain in the market for a year or so without wiping out your capital, and this itself boosts confidence to keep or hang on to the stock market for a longer time. And once you hang on for 1 or 2 years, obviously you will get some good strategy, you will get a hold about of that strategy, and obviously you will start making money out of it. The next important point to be noted is never ever trade based on the tips. Okay, tips will not take you anywhere. I keep telling this repeatedly on all my videos, on my Telegram channel, wherever I post my information, my analysis, I repeatedly say, please don't rely on the tips, because yeah, sometimes it will work, sometimes it will not work. Today someone will give you tips and you trade based on these tips. Tomorrow he will stop giving the tips and you are nowhere, you don't know anything, right? So please don't trade based on tips. Please analyze. As I always say, stock market is not a rocket science. Any person who is able to apply his common sense can trade in the stock market. So please analyze, just learn reading the chart, just understand the sentiment of the market, and you can do it yourself. Please don't depend on the tips. Never trade to recover the loss. That is what I'm trying to say is, if you incur some loss in a day, then please don't trade or take the next trade in order to recover that loss with the mindset of recovering the loss. That will just increase your loss, nothing else. Okay, when you trade just to recover the loss, what happens, it becomes gambling, right? People say stock market is gambling. When it becomes gambling, because once your mind, the information in your mind is feeded that you have to recover the loss, instead of applying the strategy, you will just blindly start taking trade, increasing the quantity, investing more in order to get the loss recovered. But this is never going to happen. Whoever enters a trade with the mindset of recovering the loss has always made more and more of losses. This is based on my experience. So please don't, I understand when you are a beginner, once you make loss, it's obvious for you to think that I have to recover the loss, but trust me, this will never ever happen. So please don't keep the hope of recovering the loss. Just make sure that your capital is not wiped off and you sustain in the market for 1 or 2 years, learn everything, and then start earning. Then it will give you tremendous results. Trading is business, right? It is not a salary paying job. It is a business. So obviously when the term business comes into picture, you will have to lose sometimes. Business is all about profits and losses. It is not that you'll receive salary every month, right? So in 10 trades, if you are able to make 5, then that's fine. 5 profits, 5 loss trades, that is fine. The only thing which you have to do is you have to manage it in such a way that the 5 trades which give you profits should give you tremendous profits, and the 5 trades which you end up in loss should be happy loss, that is very less loss. You will exit taking a very small loss, that's totally fine. You cannot expect all the trades to work for you, but whichever works has to give you good results. That is the main, you have to keep in the mind the main motive of trade. Now let's check out how to do this risk management. What am I talking about? Risk management, money management, what is this all about? I'll show you practically with an example how can you manage your risk. Okay, based on an example of the capital which is available with you, I will tell you how exactly you have to calculate the risk that you are eligible to take or you are willing to take, and how to calculate the quantity that you have to trade, keeping in mind the capital which is available with you. Always the size of the trade, that is the quantity at which you trade, is more important than your entry and exit points. If the quantity that you trade is not according to your risk taking capacity, then whatever is your entry point, whatever is your stop loss, nothing will work. So let's first clearly understand how to manage the risk, that is based on our income, what can be our risk taking capacity. The first rule which I always suggest is 10% rule. Now what is this 10% rule all about? See, stock market investment should always be 10% of your earnings. Okay, so if I say in a month 1 lakh is my salary, then my investment in stock market will be just 10% of earnings per month, that is of that month. 10% of 1 lakh comes to 10,000. So 10,000 will be the maximum amount that I am going to put to stock market that month. Okay, so example, if my income is 50,000 per month, then my investment will be just 10% of 50,000, that is 5,000. Now you can, if you are doing it every month, you can just go on adding your 10% of the salary to the capital whichever is there, and go on increasing your trade. Now let's take a small example and exactly see how much is the quantity that we can trade with a given capital. So if my total capital is say 1 lakh, okay, I accumulated some amount, say I invested 10% of my salary, and I managed to have a total capital of 1 lakh now, okay. So your risk taking capacity should be 10% of 1 lakh, that is 10,000. Okay, so in that month, now my risk taking capacity is 10,000. So in a month, say the minimum trading days is 20. Okay, so whatever holidays come, whatever come, at least 20 trading days you will get in a month. So what will be my stop loss per day? 10,000 is my risk taking capacity for the month. So 10,000 divided by 20 days. So in a day, I can make a loss of rupees 500, so that not more than 10% of my total capital is wiped off, right? So 10,000 divided by 20 is 500. So in a day, maximum loss that I can do is 500. So assume that I'll take 2 trades in a day, okay? Assume that I'll take 2 trades. So 500 in a day divided by 2 trades. So in one trade, I can lose 250 rupees, right? So in one trade, my stop loss will be 250 rupees, not more than that. So if I make profits, then keeping an RR ratio of 1:2, I will make more than 250. If I lose the trade, then my loss will be just rupees 250. Now how will you select the quantity? You might say, what can I do with just 250 rupees? I am giving an example of a person who has just a capital of 1 lakh. Okay, people may say, what can we do with just 1 lakh or with just 50,000? You can trade, you can practice, you can start with that amount also. Now stop loss is just 250 per trade. How will I trade? Say my stop loss is 8 points. Okay, I have taken a trade, and I have planned to take a particular trade, and my stop loss is coming to 8 points. Now what is the quantity that I can take? It is just 250 divided by 8. That comes to 31.25 around. So 32 can be the quantity that I trade. You cannot go for more than 32. That's why I always suggest you always start trading with stock, not with options, because if you start trading in options, you have to buy in lots, and the lot size will be more obviously, and you will end up wiping your capital entirely if you go for trading in options initially, because it is lot more trickier and lot more confusing and requires more capital. So it's always better to start with stock, wherein you are allowed to trade with even very small quantities. So in this example, 250 is my daily stop loss limit. Per trade stop loss limit. So 250 by 8 will give you around 32. So you can go for 32 quantity. Now say in another trade, the stop loss came to 5 points, then 250 by 5, 50 can be the quantity that I have to take. So first you have to decide what is the amount of risk that you are willing to take. Then you have to decide in that particular trade how much is the stop loss coming to, how much points. Then divide that stop loss amount by the stop loss points, so that you will get to know what is the quantity that you can trade in that particular day. So the safer risk reward ratio that I always suggest is 1:2, so that if you lose one trade, you will lose just the 250 rupees. If you gain in a one trade, you will make 500 rupees. So that should be your management, risk management. The next important rule is 1% rule. Okay, this is another rule. You can go for any of this. So in this 1% rule, what we do is, if my total capital is 1 lakh, then in a day I'll take a risk of 1% of the capital. That is 1% of 1 lakh will come to 1,000. So my maximum loss per day I'm willing to take is just 1,000. So 1,000 divided by 2 trades. If I'm taking two trades, that also you should decide in advance. In a day, how many trades I'll take. Once that much, if say 2 trades, then stop at 2 trades. You're not going to trade anything more than 2 trades. Okay, so 1000 divided by 2 will give you 500. So my stop loss is 500. If 8 points is my stop loss, then 500 by 8, so 62 will be my quantity. If 5 points is my stop loss, then 500 divided by 500 will be my quantity. So again, keep a 1:2 risk reward ratio in any of the cases. So this is how you have to do your money management, and this will help you to sustain in the market for the long time. Hope this video was helpful. So I have done this video keeping in mind that the people watching over here are all beginners, because usually beginners will end up in making losses, and sustaining for the long term in the stock market itself is a big challenge. Yeah, I say all the best to all the beginners, and take care of the risk management, and happy trading.